It was somewhat of a roller coaster, but Penn State officially lands the top uncommitted wide receiver in the transfer portal, former Syracuse player Trebor Pena, all ACC, and someone who can start at slot receiver in this Nittany Lion offense.
You are Locked On Nittany Lions, your daily podcast on the Penn State Nittany Lions, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked on to Penn State football and the transfer portal. My name is Zach Sako, and I am your host of the show, the #1 Penn State sports podcast out there. We're talking Trebor Pena officially in the fold for the Nittany Lions. Blue-white game today. If you got any comments, questions, let me know in the live chat. So now it's actually happened, surprisingly enough, because Miami of Florida and USC and UCLA were all scheduled to have visits, but Penn State was still fairly optimistic that they would be able to get this done. But as significant players emerged, right? These weren't just your average other schools. These are big brands. These are offenses that I mentioned. Hey, they have a need for wide receivers, or they utilize them a little differently. But Trebor Pena came back around, and the point above all else is that he makes this team better. I am going to address some potential concerns, or is he the best wideout on this team going into the upcoming season? So Trebor Pena does make Penn State's offense better. It makes Penn State's wide receiver depth better, and he is a starting caliber slot receiver. There was a battle going on for the spring season. There's a reason Penn State went into the transfer portal, because they don't feel confident enough with the likes of Caden Saunders, Liam Clifford, and or Tyseer Denmark. Even if they somewhat did, this still gives you more reliable depth. And it gives you somebody that's starting caliber. It doesn't mean that Liam Clifford, Caden Saunders, and Tyseer Denmark won't play to an extent. But now you're bringing in somebody that's another veteran, somebody that was really good in Power 4 football a season ago. But the concerns that lie with me are that it was a pass-heavy offense. How's Trebor Pena going to transition to better competition, better defensive backs that he's going to be up against? A lot of the film that I saw of, particularly his highlights, were free releases. What happens when a defense plays a little more press coverage? So this is about kind of tempering expectations, because if anybody assumes that Trebor Pena is going to come in and get 80 receptions, 900 yards, 10 touchdowns again, is mistaken. Kyron Hudson's in this offense. The reaction to Trebor Pena should have also been the reaction to Kyron Hudson, somewhat to an extent Devontae Ross, because Ross, I get it. That's a group of 5 receiver. He played at Troy for a long time, but he has really stepped up in spring football here. So I'm just as eager to see what Kyron Hudson can do, Devontae Ross, and now Trebor Pena. Trebor Pena, I don't think, is the best wide receiver, and I don't think he's going to be the #1 either. This offense is so diverse with where it can go with the football. They are going to be a predominantly run-first team, as they should be, because Nicholas Singleton and Kaytron Allen are the best players overall in this offense. And you have Drew Aller. But in terms of overall impact, it is Singleton and Allen. So you start and end with them. Then you have Luke Reynolds. You have Khalil Dinkins. Andrew Rapplier is going to come back. He'd be a starting tight end if this room wasn't so crowded, but you can rotate them in the snap counts. So you have all of these different players to feed the football to. But Trebor Pena is another option. He's another cog in the machine. But is he this superstar? Is he this player that's going to take over games for Penn State? No, but he gives you another reliable weapon where defenses have to account for it. And I think that's Penn State's greatest strength, because you have to account for Kyron Hudson. You have to account for Devontae Ross over the top as a deep threat. Singleton and Allen, maybe at the same time, maybe not even separately. I think that's where Penn State's offense is really going to get creative, is that Singleton and Allen are going to be on the football field together more than you expect them to, not as a 1A, 1B. Sure, you're still going to get that. You're going to get single running back sets. But if you noticed back in the West Virginia game, when Penn State's depth was a little better at running back before the Cam Wallace injury, Penn State was running 3 running back sets. They had Singleton, Allen, and Cam Wallace on the football field all at the same time. Penn State's running back room might be the deepest. Offensive line, secondary, in pretty good standing. But when it's Singleton, Allen, Cam Wallace is now back from injury and trending in the right direction. Second year of Quentin Martin, second year of Corey Smith, and Tyke Hayes enrolls early. Oh, and they're getting Jabri Wallace-Coleman, true freshman, who was a 4-star and one of the top players in the state of Pennsylvania as it was in the class of 2025, later on to enroll this summer. So it's hard to argue against that. Running back is in a great spot. So I think it's fair to say that Trebor Pena could get somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 receptions, 500 yards or so, 5 to 6 touchdowns, maybe, because he was that number one guy for Syracuse. He is not necessarily going to be the number one option in this. He's not going to be the number one option in this offense because of I think Kyron Hudson and Devontae Ross are your 1 and 2 wide receivers. And then Trebor Pena is your 3, but he's your starter. He is your starter and gives you another competent, capable receiver in the offense. I am eager to see how this all plays out because the transfer portal is officially closed yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, April 25th, Friday. So I thought this would impact the depth. If you're going to bring in somebody like Trebor Pena, Caden Saunders, and I know that I've already pointed this out, and people are like, okay, who cares if Liam Clifford's feelings are hurt? Who cares if Caden Saunders' feelings are hurt? But you still don't want to lose that depth because as we've seen, depth is ultra important. And that's what Pena is going to give you. He gives you depth. He gives you another playmaking option within the offense. He can, I think, somewhat hold his own against Big Ten competition, but there's going to be an adjustment period. My biggest concern of all of this is he's arriving here after spring football. Kyron Hudson, Devontae Ross, and anybody on the team at this given moment. Maybe Penn State adds another transfer since the roster limit, the House versus NCAA settlement, the roster limit is being deferred at the moment. These things change. These things are fluid. So I can only go so much on the record with this and say, hey, this is going to happen. Let's declare it. So I will be careful, but with the way things are trending right now, Penn State is not going to have this exodus of players. Portal's closed, and it looks like the roster limits are at least deferred for the time being. With that being said, Trebor Pena helps the wide receiver depth for Penn State, but was it going to alienate your other veterans that you want in the room just for reassurance, for insurance? Caden Saunders is not terrible. Liam Clifford is not terrible. And from what I've gathered, Liam Clifford was most likely going to be the starter, was going to be that third receiver. But Penn State can now just continue to get creative, add somebody else that's better. But going back to Pena's arrival is rather late in this cycle. With Pena arriving in spring football, he doesn't get to build that rapport. He doesn't get to build that chemistry. Learning the playbook, it's all going to be an uphill battle. It's going to be an uphill battle. We saw kind of the negative ramifications from it, different circumstances, but Dante Cephas didn't pan out, and he enrolled later than you would have liked him to. But Hudson, Ross, there for winter workouts, there for spring football. I'm not saying that Pena can't do it, but I think it's going to take time. So temper your expectations for Pena after the quarter mark of the season. Everybody's healthy. Everybody's playing. I don't even know that. And maybe Pena doesn't start right out of the gate, but in due time, he will. And he will be utilized quite frequently there, but it helps the depth. It's iron sharpens iron, as Penn State likes to say across the board in all sports. Phrases like to say, but that's just it. You're adding a Power 4 wide receiver that has been successful at another Power 4 school, and now he's in your room. So it's a win for Penn State. It makes the offense better, despite some of these concerns that I have. All right, we're going to address yours. Maybe you have concerns. Maybe you think this move is the greatest thing ever, or your questions. We're going to answer all of them and talk about it coming up next here as we check in on the live chat here on Locked On Nittany Lions. And today's show is brought to you by Amazon Fire TV and Locked On. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign in to your Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Avowed as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. You'll now get affordable and portable gaming. You can play high-quality Xbox games at a fraction of the cost of a console. And if you already have a console, a Fire TV Stick 4K device is more affordable and easier to travel with, allowing you to take your favorite games wherever you plug in, the convenience of it all. Head over to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller are required. Available on select devices, including the Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen. Today's show is also brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are here, right in the middle of the action, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on that action. Right now, when you join FanDuel for the first time and place your first $5 bet, you will get $250 in bonus bets. That is right. $250 in bonus bets if that first bet wins. You will love FanDuel because it makes betting so easy, whether it's picking your favorite team or diving into some of your favorite player props, from three-pointers to steals to assists, rebounds, you name it. FanDuel has so many ways for you to bet on your favorite players and your favorite props. Plus, even after the game tips off, if you miss the start of game time, you can still combine your live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big, so don't miss out. Head over to FanDuel.com and claim $250 in bonus bets today. That is $250 in bonus bets when you win your first if you win your first $5 bet over at FanDuel.com. Appreciate all of you. Today's the blue-white game, and I see tons of you are hanging out here on the live show. Happy to have him on the team. The receiving core needs the help. Just hope they didn't overspend given the situation. And I have my speculations, and we'll go try to figure out what ultimately happened here, because like I said, these were big players involved. Miami of Florida, USC, UCLA, they all have money to spend in NIL. So that's what I find intriguing, is that at the end of the day, Penn State had the best offer. Maybe he did come around to being part of a national title contending team. Whatever was discussed at USC or UCLA or Miami of Florida, and I know those visits never really ultimately happened. Some of them were canceled or what have you, but that's what he was doing all along, he was weighing his options and Penn State. And it went from, hey, this seems like a really sure thing here, that this probably will happen for Penn State, to, okay, it's tentative. Hey, the Hurricanes are there. USC, UCLA. Does he really want to go that far across the country? But Penn State still felt good about it the entirety of the time. Who is the most excited here? I'm going to try to see if I can figure out all these acronyms, because that's Andy Kotelnicki, Drew Aller, James Franklin, MH. Why am I blanking on MH? But I mean, the team overall, like I said, benefits. The offense gets better. Can he block? That's an important one. Yes, he can. He's actually, let me compliment Trebor Pena a little more than addressing the concerns and stuff, because like I said, I want to take a little bit of a tempered approach, because he's not a superstar. But what does Trebor Pena do well? Trebor Pena is physical. He will catch footballs in traffic. So I like that he's a possession receiver. He's shifty. He's quick. I don't think he's the fastest wide receiver in the world, but blocking comes with that tenacity. And he's played a lot of college football. That's got to be said for something. He's played tons of college football, meaning that he just understands the game. You're not getting somebody that's confused. I will say, though, he needs to, sooner rather than later, learn the Andy Kotelnicki playbook. It's complex. I know he tries to simplify it to, hey, it's a Dairy Queen Blizzard and add whatever toppings you want. I understand that for the jokes. But in reality, Andy Kotelnicki's playbook is very in-depth, and you got to bury your head in the books now if you're Trebor Pena, because you don't want a Dante Cephas situation to happen. Cephas had talent. I know that's going to be crazy for a lot of people to hear. Cephas had the talent, but he could never understand. He never got a hold of the playbook. Don't ask me why, don't ask me how, but that was the issue. You can't play a receiver. You can't play anybody if they don't get the playbook, if they're forgetting plays, if they don't know their assignments, if they're unsure, even if okay, I know this play, but you're unsure of your assignment on that given play, that is an issue. Pena, Hudson, Clifford, Dinkins is a good combo of possession receivers. I like the thought process of that. It's all the different skill sets that combine together. It's the threat of Nicholas Singleton and Kaytron Allen, both of them at the same time, one or the other, at any given time. It's Devontae Ross's speed over the top. It's Trebor Pena underneath. It's Kyron Hudson in those short to intermediate routes. It's Luke Reynolds. It's Khalil Dinkins. It's Andrew Rapplier. I'm a believer in Joey Schlaffer still. Joey Schlaffer still in the room. That's a former top 10 tight end recruit from the class of 2023. I guess it's been quite some time. So he's been there. He has the experience. So they have plenty of options. Are all of them elite? The running backs are. Nicholas Singleton and Kaytron Allen in this year's draft would have been 5th and 6th, respectively, maybe in the top 10 conservatively. So that's what you have. And you have Drew Aller coordinating the offense. This is the second year of Andy Kotelnicki. You have a top 3 offensive line. There is a lot to like for this group heading into the 2025 season, as you have consistency, you have continuity, you have veteran experience. It's different if you're installing a different offense or a new quarterback is taking over. Somebody that Drew Aller's played a lot of football. He knows what to expect at this point in time, but build chemistry with Pena sooner rather than later. I feel it is much better to add him than do nothing. Exactly. I will say, this is my opinion. This is not reporting. I don't think they spent $2 million in NIL to bring him in. But I do think Penn State had the best offer in general. National title aspirations, usage within the offense, probably an NIL offer. I don't know what UCLA and USC and Miami of Florida were trying to do to contend, but what Penn State clearly had the best offer of the bunch. And those were big name schools that they were going up against. Marcus Hagans does deserve his credit here. I'm glad this is brought up because Marcus Hagans has a bad rap, and I understand that because he inherited an awful situation. So I want to finish there because I got to get to Blue and White. I got to drive up to Beaver Stadium because this one's not televised. So I got to make sure that I take in the game, the practice. This is the final spring practice here. But Marcus Hagans has been recruiting very well at the high school level. I know everybody's got to be patient, but 26, 27, these are going to be phenomenal classes with the wide receivers. And the Marcus Hagans was able to get Kyron Hudson, Devontae Ross, and Trebor Pena in this offseason cycle. So Hagans deserves a lot of credit here, and he is building something special. It's taking time, but I have never been completely against Hagans. Yeah, you criticize him where he deserves it, but I always had that optimistic outlook like, hey, if you just give him more time, eventually he's going to succeed sooner rather than later. Actually, we'll finish with this because I'm glad that it popped up. Is Trevor a 1K wide receiver with us? He is not. I would say put him in the ballpark of 40 to 50 receptions, 500 to 600 yards. And I still think that's a little optimistic because they got to get the football to Singleton, Allen, Luke Reynolds, Khalil Dinkins, Andrew Rapplier, Kyron Hudson, Devontae Ross. I think Tyzer Denmark's going to see an increase in playing time as a rotational wide receiver. So there are plenty of players to get the football to. So Trebor Pena is not going to be a feature in this offense. He will certainly he will be a complementary piece that gets them closer to a national title. That's what this move does. It gets them closer to a national title. My name is Zach Seiko, the host of Locked On Nittany Lions. Thank you so much to everyone for joining this live show, the support on the show. If you're new to the channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel and wherever you get your podcasts for more conversations around Penn State football, wrestling, basketball, your favorite Penn State sports teams. Keep it right here on Locked On Nittany Lions.